do we want to talk about some movies and TV?
Yes. Specifically, the buzziest show of 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That's beautiful cinema.
You'll have to narrow it down for me because there's a couple buzzy shows we got.
Well, you have a take on Baby Reindeer, and I've sort of stayed away from the discourse, and so I thought I'd get the discourse here.
Sure. Yeah. So I only saw a lot of people talk about it, so I don't even know what specifically was the discourse, right?
Right.
So I watched Baby Reindeer over the weekend, and I thought it was pretty good
Mm-hmm.
overall. I just kind of have an issue with the way in which it was framed in regards to, how do I want to phrase this? Like, this is a show about based on a real story about a woman that stalks this dude and harasses this dude. And yet at the same time, it like sort of like just hand waves away a lot of what she does as just being like, it's mental illness. What are you going to do? Like, sort of up until the very end, and is like, sort of ratchets up the pity towards her in a very odd way. And yeah, like, I don't know how much ground I have to stand on either, because this is a show that was created, written, and probably even directed by the person that was the victim here. So I just feel like it was a bizarre way to treat that the subject of, like this perpetrator, basically.
Which is funny because isn't the real life person suing Netflix for a shit ton of money for like, defamation or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're saying it was
Yeah.
more sympathetic than it should have been?
Yeah.
Huh.
It just sort of, yeah. First of all, yeah, she's suing for like $250 million or something insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of tell like what's going on there. Yeah, it just sort of chalks up a lot of what she does to like, well, she's crazy. It's like, yeah, that doesn't mean she could just sort of do this kind of thing.
That's interesting because I never thought the show let her off the hook.
I feel like it was almost everybody's reaction to her, from his reaction to, I think the only person that was like, hey, this isn't cool, was the one that actually gets physically attacked by her, which was his girlfriend at the time.
No, I
like,
think there were
yeah,
characters that were concerned. I think his complicated relationship to her, with there being sympathy involved, is I think a result of the harassment and abuse that he suffered, right? Like and there's even abuse that goes beyond just this character who's stalking him. So there's like a lot that's complex about his emotions that I think he's processing throughout the whole thing. But I never took that as the show itself letting her off the hook for what she did. And I think there were characters on the periphery, including like law enforcement, that downplayed the severity of it, because I think that's also something that happens in real life. It's not that the show is downplaying it, it's the characters in the show. I don't think that's a way of being sympathetic for her as a character.
No, I definitely agree about the police thing. That was also probably happened, but it was done for a purpose, to show how police actually respond to situations like this.
And like his coworkers at the bar, like it was more about keeping things straight at the place of employment than it was caring about his own safety or well-being. You know what I mean? So like there was a lot of stuff happening, like people would know about the stalking, but they wouldn't.
Yeah. Like it just, because you talk about the other abuse, right?
Yeah.
And it just seemed like she was almost the sideshow to that other traumatic experience. You know?
That I don't disagree with, because that became really the prominent trauma, throughout like the second half of the series.
Yeah, so it was just sort of like, well, you know, she doesn't have the right faculties, so she's just gonna do this.
Well, faculties are
It's like,
resources for help, right?
no, I mean, she was still an adult woman making choices, like whether the severity of her mental illness, like that's the thing. It's like it's just being hand woven away as just mental illness, right? But this is still like a woman that's able to get up and consciously decide all of these things.
I don't know. I mean, I was watching it and I felt real disdain for a lot of her actions. Like, I don't think the audience is meant to just be sympathetic with her most of the way through. I just don't. I didn't have that same takeaway. It's interesting. I'm happy to hear, your perspective on it. It's interesting to me. I just didn't have the same reaction. I felt like a lot of what she was doing was actively disgusting and horrible, and there was no real excusing it. Aside from the connection is that both characters, himself and this woman who's stalking him, both of them have a traumatic past that has impacted them in various ways. And so I think that's what makes him, as someone who's in a very bad state, sympathetic to her, because they both have experienced pretty horrible things that kind of make them the way they are now.
And maybe I'm just unable to be in his place, I guess, is what I'm realizing.
Which, hey, maybe that's a good thing, because this is bleak as hell. I mean, this show is...
Yeah.
It's very watchable. It's very well crafted. It's funny in parts, but boy, is the subject matter bleak.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't even gotten into the real nasty stuff, and that's, we don't even need to, but...
No. Yeah, I'm just unable to, I guess, empathize the way he's still able to, even after enduring what he endures from her.
I mean, I don't want to compare, but you almost do want to compare it a little bit to someone who's in an abusive relationship, right? It's like people think, well, how do you still feel like love towards this person who's actively being horrible to you? Well, there's just like some, it's like ingrained in a way.
Yeah, like the way he kept going back to her voice recordings for like some kind of comfort was like, it was so fucking foreign to me.
It's like a trauma response from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think a trauma response being portrayed on the show is different from the show itself being sympathetic to her as a person and in her actions.
It was portrayed in like a way where it was almost like if you sort of remove the context, and you don't know who that character is on the other end of the recordings as he's going through them, like it's almost as if like this is somebody in his life that has died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And these are like old recordings that are left behind about how much she cared for him, and like what about him that she loved, that he's just like replaying over and over again as he breaks down, and like is almost like smiling because of it. And then it's almost like it's evoking the audience to do the same.
Yeah.
Because we were there with him through that. But it's like, it can't. At least for me.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's, I mean, in that moment, he had lost a lot, right? Like, he had lost pretty much everything, and so he was going back to this person who had consumed and taken so much from him, but also it's kind of all he knew at that point.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go look at the discourse now, because I feel like we're talking about something that's, like, different from, like, what captured the headlines and whatnot.
I think the discourse, well, I don't know, because, again, I was removed from it, but it looked like people were just trying to find who the woman was, despite this actor and the guy that's all happened to saying like, please don't do that.
Yeah, that's just shitty.
And so people were trying to be internet detectives
Right.
and figure out who it was. I think that was some of what was going on online.
I had seen some bit about people saying how stalking can be far more, or rather far less obvious, can be much more, discreet, and it's not just someone standing on the street corner waiting for you to come out of the house every day and things like that. So I saw the argument that it was like dramatizing this style of harassment in a way that's maybe detrimental, but I don't necessarily.
Detrimental to what?
I guess, well, that's the funny thing, right? Because detrimental to when it happens in real life, but we're talking about a show that was created and written by the person who this happened to. So
yeah,
that argument doesn't hold a whole lot of weight for me. Because at that point you're kind of
yes, it's dramatized,
but it's television, it's Netflix.
Yeah,
it's packaged in a way that is meant to hold your attention across multiple episodes and create discussion.
Yeah, I don't think this was quite 13 Reasons Why. I don't think
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Like, yeah, stalking can be like exclusively online, you know, but like that wouldn't necessarily be his experience. So
right,
but also the online portion of that was conveyed, like, so I don't.
And like you just said, it was his experience, so trying to generalize it is not really productive. It doesn't really make sense, because this is a singular work of art by, I mean, there's a whole cast and crew, obviously, but it's created and written and I think starred in, right, by
definitely starring
a single person. So, I think it was based off of a one-man show as well. So, it's not meant to be a general portrayal of stalking or harassment. It's meant to be a portrayal of this thing that happened to him.
Sometimes I think people want like PSAs instead of
instead of art, or personal experience, absolutely, completely. But I just wasn't feeling the sympathy in the way that you were. That's interesting.
I think that's part of the problem, is that I wasn't feeling the sympathy.
Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase. I wasn't feeling the show trying to push that on me.
Okay.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt that, like, especially like by the end, I just felt like this tension of like, I felt the show trying to push me one way and me being unable to do that. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that was it.
Good show.
I thought it was pretty good.
Good show. 3 out of 5. Solid 3 out of 5. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, some people will like it, some people won't.
Right,
that was their criteria for 3 out of 5. So, what isn't a 3 out of 5, I guess.
Citizen Kane.
Sure. There you go. Speaking of TV from a couple months ago that people were talking about, the Fallout TV show.
Oh, that thing I keep meaning to watch.
Oh, you still haven't watched it? Oh, okay.
I know. No.
Well, it's the best Fallout media since New Vegas, so it's quite good. I was genuinely surprised.
That is a good endorsement right there.
I thought I would turn it on, be like, this is really dumb, and it like full of references to like, Three Dog and whatever, because I didn't know anything about it going in, right?
Right.
So I was like, why are they making a Fallout show? It's surprisingly good. And then when I found out it was the Westworld people, I was like, okay, well, this will be good for one season. And so
you got one good season.
We got that one season.
There you go.
Yep. But it's got a very good cast. Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan, just, in a vault suit. Like, it's hard to complain about that,
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Ella Purnell is very good in everything I've seen her in, so.
Yeah, that's true. Walton Goggins, put him in ghoul makeup. It's very good.
It's a win.
I was surprised that they did like the West Coast.
I was just about to ask you where this takes place.
Yeah, this is I don't know specifically. It's like California basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like West Coast Fallout stuff. which is what the older games and New Vegas are based around.
I was going to say they should have stuck to that side of the country.
Yeah, because that's the Bethesda stuff is over on the East Coast with, you know, Fallout 3 and 4.
And Obsidian
technically
is...
kind of... Yeah.
Yeah.
There's teases for the second season, like, where they're kind of going with it. Also sticking to the West Coast. Some important stuff from Fallout 1 and 2.
Is this show structured as a, like, mystery box, puzzle box, whatever you call that type of show?
Kind of. But also, like, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Like, it's, like, there's a MacGuffin, but, like, the main characters are, like, carrying it.
Okay.
And so it doesn't really matter what it is. Like, that's not the point.
Because that's where Westworld really fell apart, I think, and try to manage that and make it a prominent thing.
If it helps, that point gets resolved at the end of the season.
Well, that's also good, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it didn't matter what they were carrying. That wasn't the important part.
Also, that first season of Westworld was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and then it just... I think I tried to watch that Aaron Paul season.
Well, season 1 was great all the way through. Had lots of cool layers and interesting things to say. Season 2 was only good in its standalone episodes that focused in on a specific thing, and there were like maybe 2 or 3 of them, and the rest of the season was incoherent.
Yeah.
And then
Were they like jumping off a ledge or whatever? A cliff?
Sure.
There's something like that.
And then I never watched beyond that, to be fair, but
I don't know if that was season 3 or 4 with the Aaron Paul.
Well, I remember you were saying, I remember, because I didn't watch season 3, but I remember hearing your reaction to it, and it started off promising, at least in a way that was more simple narratively.
I probably said it was watchable.
What?
That's probably what I said.
Oh man, the bar was low. I'm like, yeah, it started off really promising. You said it was watchable.
I can just think that's what I said.
Probably. And I think it fell apart pretty shortly after that, if I remember.
I don't even remember what happened.
Yeah. Well,
oh god, yes I do. There was like the supercomputer that was the guy's brain. Yep. Now I remember. It was really dumb. Now I remember. Then there was the stupid prison where they kept the people that were too schizophrenic. Yep, now I remember. Okay.
But I could totally see that creative team adapting Fallout as long as they don't, as long as they keep themselves reeled in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, it's like, are they heavy-handed with all the Fallout sound drops? Yes. Do I like it? Yes. You know, like...
Sure.
These are all the songs from the Fallout radio. I already know them, you know. Apparently nerds got up in arms about, you know, not being true to some kind of lore. I'm like, it's fucking Fallout. They're not even true to their lore. Like, it's way better than fucking Fallout 4. So, yeah, I had a very good time with it. Very surprisingly good time with it.
Good.
Oh, we wanted to talk about Godzilla. Do you want to talk about Godzilla?
Oh, what did I mean to do? Well, yeah, we could do that. I was going to watch Shin. Did not do that.
Okay.
Did not do that. So I don't know if you want to continue forward anyway. Or if you want me to actually watch that. Because I will actually watch it. I'll be honest, it slipped my mind completely.
That's fine. I mean, I haven't seen it for a few years, but yeah, Godzilla Minus One is very good.
Oh, it's great. Maybe my favorite movie that I saw that came out last year, which is wild to think for me because this is typically not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I did not expect a Godzilla movie to make me cry.
Right?
At the end.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not expecting that. Just so well crafted, just even from the effects to the sets. Like,
yeah, it's a beautiful narrative. The storytelling weight really hits in a lot of different ways. And then the effect, like the big city scene. I mean, the visual effects on display there are unlike anything I've seen in a movie before. Just straight up, I've never seen destruction so, you know, detailed and fully realized on that scale. Like it's incredible.
they managed to make it look like Godzilla was rampaging through like a little model set while also like that scale, but while also feeling so fucking real and like visceral.
Yeah.
It's insane.
We need a setup for a second movie? Not really, but I guess they kind of always do that, I'm assuming.
I don't even remember. Was there one?
Yeah, it was like this really quick flash at the end that kind of nods to something. I don't want to spoil it.
Oh,
in case...
just that Godzilla's... Oh, spoilers. Just that Godzilla's still alive.
Well, that and one other thing.
What was the other thing?
There was like potentially some weird infection happening.
Infection?
Maybe I misinterpreted that. In the hospital?
Infection in the hospital? I don't think I saw... From who?
His part...
From the girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was infected?
It's unclear.
I didn't think she was infected. I just thought she was fucked up from getting tossed around like a rag doll.
Well, there's that for sure, but then they did a little thing at the very end that... I don't know, I saw this like probably 6 to 8 months ago, so I don't know.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
No, but they do always kind of show the Godzilla's still alive.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen. I'm definitely not a kaiju expert. But it's just sort of like, basically like, Godzilla is connected to Japan, so he can't fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me to... Holy God. The American Godzilla movies are just... They're really bad.
And yet sort of well received by the general...
That's what
audience?
I don't get.
I haven't seen them.
Yeah, I watched... Well, forever ago, I watched the one that doesn't have Bryan Cranston in it, but he's on the posters. He's in it for like 2 minutes. That one was okay, but I saw it as a teenager, so, you know, whatever. And then I guess this MonsterVerse that they started after that movie. So that was... I don't remember what it was called, but then there was Godzilla vs. Kong. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. And then on a recommendation, I watched Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think, which was actually the one that came before the Kong one, but it doesn't matter. They're just really stupid, but not in like a fun way.
Are they just like very self-serious?
They're so fucking self-serious.
Yeah.
And it's so unearned. Because you just have all these stupid scientists talking about like what they have to do to try to trick and trap Godzilla, blah, 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 for just like minutes on end. It's like none of this matters. Just show me the thing fighting then.
Oh yeah. When you start getting in the weeds on that stuff, oof.
Yeah, if this is going to be a dumb action movie, just let it be a dumb action movie. But they can't even do that. And also the effects look worse at like 20 times the budget. The Kong one was the worst thing I ever saw. You've got like Stranger Things kids just running around. You've got, was it David Tyree Henry? Is that his full name?
I think so.
Okay. You got him trying to make podcasts while he's running.
I mean, that sounds all right to me.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just bizarre. Just really not good movies. But then everybody loves them.
So they're going to keep making them.
They're going to keep making them because they make a lot of money. And then even Toho, who are the holders of the Godzilla license and the ones that make the Japanese ones, they also are very happy with them. So, okay. They're just so long and uninteresting. I almost fell asleep. Actually, no, I did fall asleep during Godzilla King of the Monsters. So that should tell you something. All these loud special effects are going on.
I was going to say, these movies seem very loud.
Yeah, they're loud as shit, and I fell asleep.
Wow.
So...
Meanwhile, Minus One is just doing this toeing the line between being fun and just ripping your heart out and having this...
For Minus One, I had to sit up, like, and lean forward and watch it.
Yeah.
I couldn't there was nothing that would ever distract me from that movie.
It's a beautiful personal narrative about the main character, but it also has ramifications for the country as a whole, and the effects are out of this world, and it's just so. It's like it's not a complicated story by any means, but it's just so well, just like so well executed. Like every single beat just hits.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's an anti-war movie. It's an anti-nuke movie.
Yes.
It's still an action movie. It's a drama. Like,
it's got it all.
Yeah.
There's like a really like nuanced and like interesting relationship drama in there too, about people that find each other in certain circumstances, and yeah, there's so much to love about it.
And like, this isn't to say that, like, you know, the Japanese ones have to be superior because of the Japanese ones, but like, this is kind of a new thing for actually the Japanese movies, from what I understand.
I've heard that
like,
too. Yeah,
these, you know, they made a lot of goofy ass Godzilla movies, but so like with Shin Godzilla, that was basically a movie about the response to the Fukushima nuclear disaster, and also to like bureaucratic response to you know, tsunamis and stuff. Like, that's what that movie is about. Like, on its face, it's sort of like a satire, really. And now you have Godzilla Minus One. That's just like a, you know, the stunning, moving drama. But before, you know, you just have like puppets of Godzilla running around and shit, a dude in a suit, you know. But at the same time, they were so authentically like true. Like, Godzilla was always this being born and powered up by nuclear radiation and fallout, you know? Like that's something that you can't be understood by an American Godzilla, you know? Yeah. Like, whenever they send Godzilla into space, you know, it's like, sure. Whenever we have the Godzilla fight the big monkey, it just seems a little, you know, a little lowbrow. I don't know. I think it's just a little silly. Like, obviously the Godzilla with the nuke breath is going to kill the monkey, but no, we can't kill the monkey. Okay, fine. Sure, whatever. Yeah, it's true, but you know, come on. I can't do it. Can't do it. My brother tried to get me to watch one of them. I mean, what that dude did the Batman, I like the Batman, you know. It's not, you know. Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, you should watch Shin Godzilla. I'm curious to see how that appears after having seen Godzilla Minus One now, because I, you know, obviously saw Shin first. Because I think, yeah, I think this is what I said before, but I don't know how, if I were to rewatch it, how true it would be. I think Shin Godzilla is the better movie, but I think Godzilla Minus One is the better Godzilla movie. Yeah. So I just want to talk about Civil War real quick. Okay. Yeah. So I watched Civil War. It was making me think about how, like, yeah. When I watched all these movies. Yeah. When I was unable to do anything. It was making me think about how, like, we're always being prepped for some kind of apocalyptic end. But it's, yeah, exactly. But that specific, depending on what they need to sell us. You know what I mean? Yes, of course, which is why I have 3 on my desk currently. Um, see, I'm the problem, right? I'm not reading 26 books on each of them. So I almost went with the color e-ink, but I didn't. Because apparently, no, not yet. They're almost getting there, but the battery life is an issue. So that's why I didn't. Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, so like, when we were kids, and we obviously like 9/11 and everything, right? And the war on terror, right? And then yeah. War on terror, right? We would turn on the literally the local news, and they would give us a fucking color of what today's terror threat level was. Oh, today's yellow. It's like, okay, sure. Oh, tomorrow's gonna be orange. It's like, oh, great. What are you gonna do about that? But then I don't know if there's a forecast, but it was just like the next day would be orange, and like, no, now what does that mean? What are you supposed to adjust? Yeah, like what are you supposed to adjust in your day-to-day life with that color information? But then like as a kid, the way that they would just sort of tell us that, oh, you're going to get kidnapped. It's going to happen. And here's how it's going to happen and what you need to do. Maybe. But no, like we would have entire assemblies, and like the news would just be about all these kids getting kidnapped constantly. Maybe. I just remember this all the time. Yeah. This was like grade school stuff though. And so to me, yeah. To me, it felt like this inevitability where it was like, okay, well, at some point I'm going to get kidnapped. And so I kind of constantly had that hanging over my head. But like these things change. It's like, are kids not getting kidnapped anymore? Well, no, because I get the fucking Amber Alerts. So clearly they are. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. That's right. but I'm like watching Civil War, and I'm thinking like, because this is related. This is related, believe it or not. Of like, they've constantly been preparing us for this kind of thing. Of one fucking collapse of humanity after another in some way, shape, or form. Something terrible is going to happen to you. And maybe this is just me as somebody that has anxiety. I was like, oh yeah, that is going to happen to me. It will. It's not a matter of chance or whatever. It's just going to happen to me. Yeah. So whenever I see Civil War and they're just driving through, towns that look a lot like mine, towns look a lot like driving through Pennsylvania. They drove through Pittsburgh and had a shootout there. It's like, yeah, this makes all the fucking sense in the world. That this part will be happening right here. I know that area, what that looks like. All these fucking billboards. Yep. Okay. Yep. It's like, this is how this would go. This is how this would collapse. And it's like, this is kind of what they're, when I say they, I mean capital, right? They're sort of preparing us for this now. And I don't mean to say this is like a conspiracy theory and that Alex Garland is like, in on this, right? Like, you look at stupid shit, like the goddamn Cybertruck. And I swear this is related as well. This is the car that could stop a bullet. This is the car that could take arrows. This is the car that could drive through desert dunes and over your enemies. Yeah. Yeah. It's a piece of shit. But that's not the way it's being sold to idiots that believe this shit. Like, why would you ever need a tank of a car currently? You don't, unless the world was ending, unless there was some kind of, civil war or, invasion. But then you look at, like, the way SUVs are designed, too. The way trucks are designed. Most of them are built like fucking tanks, too. It's like they're preparing for something. Okay. Yeah. It's not a conspiracy, though. You know what I mean? It's the ways in which we're being sold different catastrophes. That's what I mean. Right. Right. And I'm saying that this movie has gotten to the heart of that. No, 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 no. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. He's not part of the Illuminati and is in on this conspiracy. No, that's insane. I'm saying that he is. No, I'm saying he's getting at the heart of this, and this is what this would look like. One of these situations. This is a movie that is showing something that is deeply American. That's my point. I'm saying that we've constantly been sold an apocalypse, and this is what the current one would look like. I'm saying that me and Alex Garland are on the same wavelength, is what I'm saying. Okay. So I just framed this incorrectly because we've been going for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. I think it suffers from, and this is not important to people that aren't going to watch his movies anyway, but it again suffers from perhaps a mistitling of the movie. It's not really about the Civil War the same way that Men was just like, okay, we get it, you know? Yeah. Like like Civil War feels like it was the draft title that just sort of stuck around. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there was, before it even came out, there was too much stupid ass discourse about, well, this wouldn't make sense. Why would Texas and California team up? First of all, irrelevant, and second of all, they totally would. They totally would. If you're not really paying attention if you don't think that they would. But yeah, that was the whole thing. It's like these basically these teams don't make any sense. It's like that's not the point. We don't even know why that there's a fracture, but like the point is that there is one. That's the whole point. Yeah. In a way, this is closest to, I haven't seen it in a very long time, and I've only watched it once, but that movie Nightcrawler, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. 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 That movie was probably the most Fincher movie that's not a Fincher movie. Not just because of Jake Gyllenhaal, but like that whole character study. Yeah, yeah. The way that some journalism just tries to be not objective, but like external, as if you're not part of whatever's going on. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, are you not actually changing the story whenever you pause these paramilitary dudes from shooting somebody until you get a picture and a quote, and then he gets shot? Like, what? You're actually part of the story now. You've affected events. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, especially now that basically all local news is owned by like Sinclair, and you just gotta pay attention to them for a second and see what the agenda is. Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, it's not a conspiracy if I have receipts for it. But yeah, I did at least want to talk about that a little bit before my brain completely fried or I forgot about the movie. Um. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she like disappears into that role. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That should be everything. We're at 2 hours. You should stop talking. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Just a couple notes. Check out everything over at deadandroad.media. You can keep up by subscribing for free. You can get an email whenever I post a review talking about Ted Bundy, or whenever a new episode goes live. There's no spam involved. Oh, but if you do work for like an AI startup, I can like see the email addresses. So maybe don't use your business account, so I can know that you're like an AI dude. Yeah. So if you do sign up for the email list, I can, know that you work for an AI startup, and then I can boot you off the email list. So yeah. So yeah, just don't do that, I guess. Or maybe just, use your personal email instead of your fucking startup email. God in heaven. And also check out Did It All for Them. I don't know. Check it out. I just released a new episode today as of recording. That came in very handy because I rant about Final Fantasy XIV, and the things I say remain true even though the expansion is launching tomorrow. So it's very timely, and yeah. And I'll have more to say about SMT5 in the next episode of that. So check out Did It All for the Moogle, available wherever you get your podcasts, and also at deadenroad.media. I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.